Well, here we are. Another week, another lens. Actually, I mentioned this lens just in last week's episode, kind of doing a comparison with things like the 3D pop issue that the Leica lens and the Carl Zeiss's and whatnot like to talk about. But this is a Nikon lens, or Nikon if you want to call it that. But this was the lens I mentioned last week because it does give a 3D pop, and it's actually one of their more famous lenses. It is the Nikon 105mm f2.5, and if you've ever looked at a National Geographic cover, you may remember back in 1985, and even if you weren't alive back then, I'm sure you've seen it advertised here and there, of the famous Afghan Girl, shot by Steve McCurry in 1985. He used the 105 2.5. Now his version was the later AIS version, but this one's still pretty rocking. Actually, they all are. So that's what I'm going to talk about this week. So let's get at it.
Here I am, Vietnam. Rain is always coming down.
This is Camera Talk with Dr. Scott. All right, here we are. Another week, another lens. And, I'm kind of not quite continuing on from where I was last week, but I, compared last week's episode lenses that I was showing to my 105 here. And it's a Nikon 105mm 2.5, and this particular one that I have here on my Sony A7R II is a little bit special. I mean, it has its own minor run. It was built between 1974 and 1977, and it's a Type K. Usually the Nikon stuff is a Type F or a P or a C, and then of course you get AI and AIS. Well, this is a Type K, and it came with an AIS kit, to prepare it for the auto indexing as Nikon SLRs were designed to do back in the day.
Back in my day, we didn't have like me.
But this one's a little different. The body shape is different. It kind of stands out. But really, the optics inside are where the magic happens anyway. So it really doesn't matter what the body is or what the mount is, or whether it's AI, AIS, anything else. This is an excellent lens. It has been, for decades. It was one of the most popular lenses with photographers out there. It was razor sharp, it was quick to focus, the build quality is excellent. This particular one, I tracked down the serial number, was made in 1976. 1976, I was what, in grade 5, 5th grade, 6th grade, something like that, 5th grade probably. It was the year Elvis passed away, 76 was a big year. Disco was raging. Disco sucks. No, don't tell anybody I said that.
Get the fuck out of here.
But anyway, this lens, just in general, the 105 2.5, became famous, as I said in the intro, due to a photographer who was in Afghanistan at the time, covering the Afghan war. When the Soviet Union had occupied the country. And, a photographer named Steve McCurry was working the war zone. And, he crossed over the border into Pakistan and, found himself in a refugee camp and entered the tent of, a makeshift school that had a number of girls studying at the time. And there was one particular girl, 12-year-old, who was not wearing a burqa or anything, and what stood out to Steve was these green eyes. And he thought to himself, yeah, I have to have this, I got to get a picture of this girl. So, you know, when she left the tent, you know, after school finished, you know, he arranged to get a photo with her. You know, unfortunately, her parents were killed in a, you know, Soviet bombing, aircraft bombing, and you know, so she was basically an orphan. And so he took this picture, and afterward, looking at it, realized, you know, that he had a winner. You know, it was a great photo. Sent it back to his employers at National Geographic. You know, they actually didn't put it on their cover right away. They had another one of his photos on the cover, but then later took a second look at it and said, no, this one's got to be on the cover. So they did. They switched it up to the one that we all know nowadays, and that's, you know, I'll show you that right here. Recognized photo of the 20th century, and Steve to this day is still very proud of that photo. So anyway, little bit about specs of this. As I said, the outer barrel and the mounts and everything may have changed, you know, because it was made from 1971 all the way to 2005. So there was a couple variations of it, but the optics stayed the same. Earlier versions of this, you know, had a different you know, optic setup, but the one here, you know, again from 71 to 2005, had the same optics, and it's 5 elements in 4 groups. Its close focus distance is 1 meter, or 3.3 feet, for those in the imperial system. It's 435 grams, so it's, you know, it's not lightweight, but it's not super heavy either. It's almost a pound, you would say, 15.3 ounces. Has 7 blades. You know, if you know anything about Nikon stuff, they a lot of their blades are 6 blades, aperture blades, but this one's got 7, and it goes from f2.5 up to f32. Now most of these lenses go to f22. So again, the later version of this one goes to f22. This one goes to f32. And again, sharp all the way from 2.5, and the sweet spot, of course, is you know, 4, 5.6, f8. You know, are super sharp. But for portraiture, 2.5 all the way up to f4, in that range, pretty much gets you a nice sharp center, and the fall off from there, it's good for portraiture. So you know, get you my usual shot of the you know, I'm filming this video with my Canon M50, so I usually take a shot from here just to give you, you know, I'm about 1.5 meters, maybe 2 meters from the camera. So I'll focus in on the kit lens, which is a 15 to 45, and see if I can read the, you know, focus in on the writing on the end of the barrel. So let me do that right now. Oh, quick and easy this thing is to focus. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right. So that is again, the real life from here to there. I'm also, as usual, going to include some photos I took this morning of my son Dylan, and you know, show you again what these can do as far as, you know, portraiture, getting in close, getting in sharp. And of course, it's a manual lens, and with you know, 11-month-old baby, he moves around quite a bit, so it's just, you know, so it's a hit and miss kind of thing as far as focus goes. But hey, but that's what was going on in the world back then before autofocus came along. You had no choice but to manually focus as best you could. So so here's some pictures of Dylan. All right, so that was my take anyway on the Nikon 105 f2.5 lens from the 1970s, mid 1970s, and you know, I can't speak highly enough of this. It's an excellent lens. It's just as comparable to any lens there is out there today. You know, that's how, you know, Nikon pretty much ruled the lens world back then. You know, Nikon gave everybody a run for their money, you know, including the Zeisses and the Leicas. But to this day, you know, again, this is considered a vintage lens, and yet it renders just like a contemporary lens. You know, great colors, great contrasts, great sharpness, easy to focus, easy to handle. Works great on any mirrorless camera with an adapter, of course. You know, I have my adapter on here is a KNF concept adapter. You know, AI to NEX, and and again, it works great on my Sony, works great on my Canon. I could probably even get an adapter for my Leicas, my M10s and whatnot, and use it there as well. So so anyway, it's a great lens. It's definitely not expensive. Forget how much I paid for it, but I'll stick that up here. So it's cheap, you know, relatively cheap anyway compared to a lot of other lenses. So you know, get yourself one. There's plenty of them out there. There's some that are still even brand new, haven't been used by anybody. So go get one, definitely. It's my you know, doctor's recommendation. Get out there and get yourself a 105 2.5, and you won't be disappointed. You know, there's faster versions of the 105 1.8 out there, but this really, the 2.5 is plenty fast enough for what it could do. You'd be very happy with it. So anyway, so that's my bit on my Nikon 105. So that's it this week. This was Camera Talk with Dr. Scott, brought to you by Modesty Photography. And you know, please help do me a favor and get my channel exposed out there, and you know, give me a subscribe, because that really helps, you know, get that algorithm out there into YouTube world. So subscribe, and then the third time's a charm, of course, a double finger subscribe. And as usual, give me a thumbs up so we can show off the thumbs up girls. And lastly, my little plug for Luminar. You know, if you're into editing your photos through the PC, through your software, or through your Mac, whatever, Luminar is great bang for the buck. I mean, it's a one price you pay, it's yours forever. You know, once you download it and you put it on your PC, there is no monthly fee. There's nobody coming after you for any other prices after that, any other cost. Yeah, it's great. It's got a lot of bells and whistles that Lightroom and Photoshop and Capture One and, you know, a lot of these other ones have as well. But it's only $67. You know, if you click the link below that I put down below, you'll save $10, so it's only $57. And I get a little kickback for that too. Yay, who doesn't like kickback? Other than that, you know, hey, come on back next week and we'll look at another lens, or we'll look at maybe some more challenges. I'm thinking of doing a 135 millimeter challenge. You know, I've got a handful of them up here, you know, to see which one may be the king of the hill. And that would be that. I can't wait to get into such a thing. So see you next week. Have yourself a great weekend. Have yourself a great week. Stay away from that COVID. Go get your vaccine if you haven't got one yet. They don't have them here in Vietnam yet, but hey, we've only got a couple hundred active cases out of 97 million people anyway. so I'm not all that worried about it. But anyway, wash your hands, don't touch your face, wear your mask if you're around other people. And oh, I hear the crying going on. My son Dylan has woke up from his nap, so I gotta go. So we'll see you next week. All right, bye-bye.
Here I am in Vietnam. Rain is always